In the peaceful town of Arlington, Indiana, a sinister story unfolds. A young girl's disappearance shatters a community and unravels a disturbing secret hiding in plain sight. Valerie Tindall, a bright 17-year-old, vanished without a trace, leaving her family and friends in agonizing uncertainty. The investigation that followed would expose a chilling tale of deception, betrayal, and murder, centered around a trusted neighbor and employer, 59-year-old Patrick Scott. As the layers of lies were peeled back, a horrifying truth emerged, revealing how a seemingly ordinary man transformed into a predator, hidden in plain sight.
What happened to Valerie?
Strangled her.
With what?
A belt. She thought she was going to seduce me and it wasn't going to happen. I just knew she wasn't going to blackmail me. Valerie got carried away.
Was she struggling when you were strangling her?
Yeah. She tried to blackmail me into buying her a car. Things just got carried away.
Had you and Valerie been in a sexual relationship?
Valerie Tindall was more than just another teenager. She was a bright light in her family's life. Known for her love of animals and her dream of becoming a veterinarian, she embodied hope and promise. But behind the charming smile was a vulnerability that her neighbor, Patrick Scott, would exploit in the most monstrous way imaginable. Patrick Scott appeared to be the perfect neighbor, helpful, friendly, and always around. But behind his mask of normalcy was a man with a dark fixation. When Scott offered Valerie a job at his lawn care business, it seemed like an act of kindness. In reality, it was the start of a relationship that would spiral into manipulation, lies, and, ultimately, murder. On the morning of June 7, 2023, Valerie mentioned she'd be heading to work. A surprising detail that didn't sit right with her mother, Sheena, since Valerie never worked on Wednesdays. At first, Sheena brushed off her unease, thinking her daughter might be hanging out with friends or meeting a boy. But when Sheena called Patrick Scott, the trusted neighbor and employer, his response sent a chill down her spine. Valerie hadn't shown up for work at all. The unsettling twists didn't stop there. As Sheena dug deeper, Scott's story seemed to shift with every conversation. Then, a chilling revelation emerged. One of Scott's clients had overheard plans for a lunch meeting between Scott and Valerie on the very day she vanished. Alarmed and gripped with dread, Sheena wasted no time. She alerted authorities, knowing her worst fears were only beginning to unfold.
Rush County Sheriff's Department is asking for your help finding a missing 17-year-old. She is missing from Arlington, Indiana.
The Rush County Sheriff's Office sprang into action, treating Valerie's disappearance with the utmost urgency. Acting as if she had run away, they quickly issued warrants for her social media, phone records, and bank accounts, uncovering crucial clues that would soon reveal the dark truth. For 5 harrowing months, Valerie's parents, Sheena and Jack, lived every parent's worst nightmare. As her 18th birthday passed on August 29th, their pain only grew. Had she run away, or was something far more sinister at play? The grim details of her disappearance, and the chilling words of the person responsible, would soon turn their agony into an unimaginable reality. June 7th started like any other day, but it would end in tragedy. Valerie entered Scott's home, unaware that it would be the last time she would ever be seen alive. A petty argument turned violent as Scott's disturbing motives took over. In a brutal act, he strangled her with his belt, and instead of remorse, he concocted a twisted plan to cover his crime. The search for Valerie Tindall, led by the Rushville Police, Shelby County Sheriffs, and U.S. Marshals, was a massive operation spanning hundreds of acres. Guided by digital footprints from a phone Scott had secretly given her, each geolocation acted like a beacon, drawing investigators closer to the truth. A haunting image of Valerie, posted on social media the day she vanished, captured her vibrant spirit. Her distinctive orange fingernails would soon become a key detail in the search. While Valerie's parents desperately sought answers, Patrick Scott continued to play the part of a concerned neighbor and family man. But detectives sensed something darker beneath his facade. Identified early on as a person of interest, Scott's properties were scrutinized under over 50 search warrants. Cadaver dogs detected signs of human presence, prompting an aerial survey that revealed disturbed ground on Scott's land. On November 28, 2023, nearly 6 months after Valerie's disappearance, law enforcement executed simultaneous searches across multiple properties. Their grim discovery: 2 buried boxes, one containing Valerie's remains. Scott was arrested without resistance and soon confessed to the murder. As the details of his twisted actions came to light, the interrogation would reveal the chilling depths of his betrayal. The interrogation room is a battlefield of minds, and the officer knows exactly how to play the game. He starts gently, building a false sense of security, luring Scott into a corner. With every question, the walls close in, each word designed to strip away Scott's lies and expose the truth. The officer doesn't just want answers. He wants Scott to feel the weight of his actions.
So, here's the deal tonight. Now, I normally don't do this, okay, but here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell you, because here's why. Here's why. You know, I can play off like 8 million things right here. As you come and sit in this room, your mind plays tricks on you as an officer, all right? And it tells you to go all these different directions and try all this different stuff. But the fact of the matter is that I think you're overall probably a pretty good person, okay? If I didn't, I would have treated you probably different over the time, all right? I'm just going to talk to you like a person, all right? And then there's times like you sit in this interview room and maybe that didn't happen in the past, all right? But the fact of the matter is that the natural human thing is when you do something wrong is you want to tell us that you did something wrong, okay? So what I made the decision of when I walked through that door right there was, I would like to talk to you today, and I would like you to tell me what happened to Valerie. That's the end result of what I want to know, okay? But here's what's weird about today. I'm going to tell you everything I know, okay?
Okay.
Because here's the deal. In the end, I believe you've done something to Valerie. I believe you've done something to Valerie, and we're going to prove it, all right? But what I want to know is the why, and what you want to tell me is I'm sitting here watching you tear up right now. You want to tell me the why.
Suddenly, the game changes. The officer drops the pretense, laying out the hard evidence Valerie was last seen with Scott, and now her body has been found. Scott is cornered, his calm facade cracking under the pressure. This is the moment of truth, and Scott knows he can no longer hide behind his lies.
5 months ago, June 7th, Valerie disappeared, okay? As June 7th went, that day, we know Valerie was with you. Admittedly, you told us that. But on June 7th, you drove Valerie ultimately back to your residence, okay? And you arrived at your residence at 12:59 p.m., okay? And then between 12:59 and roughly 4 o'clock, something happened. And our job was to fill the gap in to try to figure out what happened. And as the investigation unfolded, that led us to today, in which we found the box with Valerie's body in it behind your shed. Because we have her in the box, okay? Wrapped up multiple times, taped up in the box of the OSB and the 2x4s that you bought, next to the box that we talked to you earlier about that had the porn videos in it.
Had what?
Had the porn videos in it. We got her in the box next. So you know we have found her. And I didn't want to bluff you on that. I wanted you to know that. And as you're sitting there tearing up, wanting to cry, all right? So, I'm going to read you your rights. This is the opportunity for you to explain the why.
Tension fills the room as Scott realizes the walls are closing in. The evidence is undeniable, leaving him no room to deny or evade. The officer's relentless pressure forces Scott into a corner, setting the stage for a full confession. Sensing the heat, Scott nervously questions why his wife, Linda, was also brought in for questioning. The officer coolly responds, it's because she lives on the property. The trap is closing, and Scott is running out of options.
Okay, and I've got a question for you before we go any further. Why did they pick up Linda?
We're going to talk to her too. She lives on the property. We're going to talk to Linda as well. Because here's the deal, Patrick. How do we know what happened to her? You both live on the property. So we have to talk to everybody on the property. Does that make sense? But I'm giving you the opportunity to explain to me. The other thing is that there's family involved. There's mistakes that's been made, okay? I sit across a lot of people, okay? And the day one I sit across, or the times I've sat across from you, you remind me of a common man that goes to work, that works his butt off, and is a family man that loves his family. That's what I get from you, okay?
At this critical moment, the officer uses a sympathy play, invoking the pain felt by Valerie's family to stir any hidden remorse in Scott. By emphasizing the grief of her loved ones, the officer seeks to pierce Scott's defenses and reach his sense of humanity.
Now, I could have come in here and said, Patrick, do you know why I'm about to talk to you? Because that's the common thing. And that was the first thought in my head that I was going to do to you. And then I said, no. Because I think deep down you love Valerie, and I know you love your family. Okay? So I decided that when I come in that door just now, that I'm going to give you an opportunity to explain the why. Patrick, today's the day. Family deserves this closure, and you deserve this closure. Do you hear me? You deserve this closure because this has ate at you. We can tell that every time we talked, all right? Explain to me what happened to Valerie and explain the why. Because we deserve it, and everybody else deserves it as well. What happened to Valerie?
Valerie got carried away.
Doing what?
Huh?
Doing what?
Doing what?
Mm-hmm. Just lay it out to me. Lay it out to me. What happened to her?
She tried to blackmail me into buying her a car.
Okay, and what happened?
She thought she was going to seduce me and it wasn't going to happen. Things just got carried away.
Well, explain that to me. What's that mean? Does Linda know about it?
Nope.
Okay.
Nobody knows.
It's your chance to tell me what happened.
She tried to seduce me and I wasn't going to have it.
But what happened to Valerie? That's where you're stopping. What'd you do to her?
With nowhere left to run, Scott finally breaks. The reality of his actions hangs heavy in the room. This was not an accident, not a moment of madness, but a calculated act driven by his own twisted desires.
What'd I do to her?
What'd you do to her? Tell us what you did to her.
Strangled her.
With what?
A belt.
Okay. And then what'd you do with it?
I moved her into the office.
Okay. How long was she in there?
Till the next day.
Okay. What did, where's the belt at?
It's gone.
Okay. You left her in the office till the next day. Then what happened?
Then when I got home the next day, I just made that box.
Okay. What about the hole?
The hole was already dug. But it wasn't for that, it was because I was going to throw concrete in it.
So you strangled her. What room were you in when you strangled her?
Back there by my bedroom.
So you said she tried to seduce you for the car. Well, explain to me what happened.
She was wanting to come on to me.
Did she say she was going to get you in trouble, or?
Yeah, she was going to tell everybody that I was making moves on her. I wasn't going to have it.
Okay. And then you guys got in a fight?
Yeah, kind of a pushing and shoving thing right there.
Okay. And then you took your belt off, and then what happened?
I put it around her neck and I held on to it till she quit.
Okay. And what'd you do afterwards? Like, what was going through your head at that time?
I didn't know what to do with her.
What did you first think about doing?
Huh?
What was your first, what were you thinking about?
Trying to figure out what to do with her.
And how long did you hold that? Give me a ballpark of how long you held the belt.
On her?
Yeah.
Just quit moving.
Okay. Did you know she was dead then?
I pretty much figured so.
Okay. And so you put her in the office, and then the next day you built the box. Where'd you build the box at?
Backyard.
Okay. And then when did you put her in the box?
That same day I built it. I didn't say nothing. I just knew she wasn't gonna blackmail me.
Yeah. So because of the blackmail, was that your intention to kill her? To avoid the blackmail?
She was gonna tell everybody that I had my way with her, and that never happened.
Okay. So then, was that your plan? Like, if you were gonna be blackmailed, right?
Right.
So was that the plan to kill her?
No, that just kind of happened.
Okay. Because she was gonna blackmail you.
Yeah.
Through strategic pressure and psychological tactics, the officer cracked Scott's defenses, securing the confession that brought long-awaited closure.
All right. So you're going to be charged with murder today, okay? I assume you already knew that, correct? All right. But in the end here, I do think, like, everything I said was true to you, okay? Everything I said to you was true. Okay, when I started talking to you, everything I said was true, all right? Like, I do think that it's the best situation here is that you finally came out, and in the end, I think you are going to be happier that you came out on it, okay? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, all right, stand up, we're going to throw these back on you, okay?
In the end, facing overwhelming evidence and the weight of his actions, Patrick Scott chose to accept a plea deal. This decision spared him a lengthy trial, but resulted in a harsh sentence: 57 years behind bars, ensuring he spends the rest of his life paying for his crime.
There's gonna be a hole there forever. There was a hole there when we thought she was out there somewhere. There was a hole and it's never gonna be filled. Just like half your family's gone.
Though Linda Scott has not been formally charged in connection with the case, Valerie's parents strongly believe that Patrick's wife was aware of the murder all along.
I think it was the first week, right after we hung flyers. And I think it was day 2 we went out and hung flyers, and as soon as we come home they were there. And they kept coming over, you know, asking me if I was okay and telling us, oh, I'm sure she's fine, she'll be back home.
I don't know how somebody could do anything like this. The man's a monster. His wife needs to be prosecuted with her.
Absolutely.
She knew everything about it too, I'm sure.
I honestly believe his whole family knew.
She's like, go visit boys. She didn't know on the internet.
She was based on
And I
that.
tried to get her to stop doing that because it's dangerous. And it didn't work. Come to find out it was the boss, not the boys.
The tragic murder of Valerie Tindall serves as a chilling reminder that danger can lurk behind the most familiar faces. Patrick Scott, once seen as a friend and neighbor, turned predator in the most horrifying way, betraying the trust of those closest to him. As Valerie's family seeks justice, this story stands as a stark warning. Even in the quietest of towns, evil can grow unnoticed, waiting for the moment to strike. In the end, the loss of Valerie is a wound that will never fully heal, a bright future snuffed out by a monstrous betrayal.